Hello everyone, welcome to the Buzz the Prey Manga. Today we continue the latest Global Freeze chapter, rewritten and edited by me in English for a smooth reading experience. All visuals and story flow are personally edited to give you the best manga style storytelling. Support the original creator by checking the official manga. So let's dive right into the today's chapter.
Chapter 2549 Absolute Defense Absolute Attack 1. We are witnessing a miracle unfolding today on the grasslands of the Australian continent, King Arthur said in a low voice. His eyes sparkled as he looked at Zhang Yi with immense excitement. Just 2 years ago, the two of them could fight each other on equal terms. But now, he has no doubt that Zhang Yi can kill him instantly. He single-handedly suppressed 4 alien, night-level powerhouses. That's terrifying. Don't let your guard down, Olive reminded him. He hasn't hit any vital points yet. Upon hearing this, everyone immediately looked towards the battlefield. Only then did they realize that although Zhang Yi had injured 4 powerful alien warriors, their injuries appeared to be very serious, with blood everywhere. However, their operations remained unaffected, and their attacks continued to be extremely fierce. As expected, a knight is a knight. Extraordinary life cannot be so easily annihilated or defeated. The repeated setbacks in their attacks finally made the 4 night-level aliens no longer underestimate Zhang Yi. Actually, they didn't underestimate Zhang Yi at first. The 4 of them joined forces and launched a fierce attack. But they just didn't expect that even though they had tried their best to take Zhang Yi seriously, they still couldn't guess Zhang Yi's true level. Even Kroba couldn't help but admit, in a one-on-one situation, I'm afraid I really wouldn't be a match for him. Gutchuan said in a deep voice, We must stop fighting individually and start cooperating. Everyone, listen to my command and attack in an orderly manner. I have already seen through his ability. His ability to foresee the future is short-term, about 3 seconds. By this point in the battle, Gutchuan had naturally noticed something amiss. Upon hearing this, Kroba, Gushin, and Kong naturally stopped arguing over command. After all, time-based ability users are indeed more suitable as battlefield commanders. Okay, then we'll do as you say. Don't let us down. Let's all work together and take this guy down as soon as possible. The 4 tribes no longer attacked separately, but instead launched a joint attack under the command of Gutchuan. Gu Chaowen stared intently at the tiny crack on Zhang Yi's myriad images. Gushin and Kong will make the first move and attack that rift. Finally, Kroba will use his spatial powers to tear the rift open. Kroba's ability is most destructive to Zhang Yi's myriad manifestations because the shattering void cannon destroys everything within its range with spatial fragments. When spatial fragments are embedded in dimensional gates, they cause spatial disorder, thus causing destruction. Gutchuan realized this, so he arranged for Kroba to be the main force to tear apart Zhang Yi's defenses. Alright, let's get started. Gu Shan's fist had already gathered powerful alien energy, like a small sun constantly expanding on his arm, becoming larger and larger. The sky stretched itself into a giant wind crown, and the storm formed huge clouds over the entire Australian grassland, with howling winds that seemed to threaten to destroy the world. The hurricane creates a vacuum zone within its interior, with the edge of the hurricane crown wrapped in countless extremely fine vacuum blades. After gathering their strength, the two attacked Zhang Yi's myriad phenomena at the same time. Behind them, Kroba opened its enormous wolf maw, and a chaotic dimensional storm condensed, finally transforming into a transparent void-shattering cannon that roared forward. 3 terrifying forces shot out one after another, crashing heavily onto the myriad phenomena of the universe. This time, an even more distinct cracking sound rang out from the edge of the myriad petals. The crack along the edge of the door had thickened slightly, like a deeper scratch drawn on transparent glass. 6th Generation's heart sank, and Morgan's knuckles gleamed white again. The Chaos's defenses have cracked even more. Is it 1%? King Arthur swallowed. He knew that the myriad phenomena were not invincible. As long as the energy exceeded the threshold, they could also be destroyed. Zhang Yi was at a disadvantage against 4 opponents in terms of supernatural abilities. Even the most unbeatable ability can't overcome the gap in power. Zhang Yi saw that the 3-dimensional gates had been destroyed. Under Kroba's shattering cannon, the embedding of spatial rifts destroyed the dimensional gate. It works! The 4 night-level powerhouses were beaming with joy. Zhang Yi raised an eyebrow. Indeed, 1 against 4 is quite a challenge. These 4 are all top experts of their clan, and none of them have a lower ability index than Zhang Yi. Moreover, the 4 different attribute abilities perfectly compensated for the inability to restrain Zhang Yi. The 4 of them working together created a powerful chemical reaction. Zhang Yi raised the demonic knife in his hand by half an inch. Devour everything, rivers of the netherworld. The flash of the blade was not dramatic. There was only a steady line along the spine of the blade, as steady as a heartbeat. The dark netherworld river suddenly became violent, surging towards the 4 night-level powerhouses. At the same time, the dimensional string disconnect was activated instantaneously, and its unsolvable ability locked down their movements. The 2 abilities, one for targeted strikes and the other for indiscriminate annihilation, combined together posed a tremendous threat to the 4 night-level powerhouses. The netherworld river swept over the edge of the wind crown, which resembled a sheet of paper that had been gently smoothed out, all its wrinkles disappearing. The dimensional string fracture touched Guxin's heavy armor, and tiny, almost invisible black flowers were blasted onto his protective shield, like a finger mark left on iron by the night. A crack flashed across Kroba's chest, revealing a smooth, thin seam inside his suit, with a line of blood as thin as a red hair, from which blood gushed out. The blade of the netherworld swept across the edge of Guchuan's time bubble, and a layer of fine scales appeared on the surface of the time bubble. Each scale was a tiny cause and effect that had been judged, and they peeled off like snowflakes. "How is this possible?" Guchuan exclaimed for the first time. "Actually managed to break through my defenses. Is there anything strange about that?" Zhang Yi said calmly. "You can see my past, but I can see your future. As long as the most appropriate attack method is used in the foreseeable future, your defense is meaningless." Because Zhang Yi can experiment to determine which attack is most effective within 3 seconds. This kid, Kroba licked the blood from the corner of his mouth, is interesting. Just as the 4 were about to make another move, Zhang Yi did not give them the chance. "It's about time. After being attacked for half a day, the energy storage is complete. It is time, in the name of God, to bring judgment upon you." The next instant, Zhang Yi raised his left hand, pointing 5 fingers to the sky. He had previously absorbed the residual energy of thunder, lightning, wind, and the shattering void cannon, as well as the aftershocks from the Guxin Great Reincarnation Cannon, all of which he stored away in his all-encompassing warehouse. Now he opened the door of that warehouse in the sky. "Now, savor the sharpness of all your attacks. This is my most brilliant strike, a blasphemous act." A cruel smile curled at the corner of Zhang Yi's mouth. The black sun suddenly ignited in the sky, and the heat did not come from temperature, but from the extreme pressure of an incomparably powerful energy body. Chapter 2550 Absolute Defense, Absolute Attack 2. The Terminator armor on Zhang Yi's body was perfectly sealed, with each plate tightly closed, like a tank, guarding against any heat from the dark sun overhead. Even Zhang Yi himself had to use this move with caution. The black sun, which gathered the attack energy of 5 night-level powerhouses and was so powerful it was suffocating, suddenly appeared in the sky. The entire space was distorted, and the heat radiated by the energy radiation caused the earth to shatter into a desert like a thin biscuit. This allows the seawater at the edge of the coast to evaporate rapidly, exposing the beach below. Even from a great distance, the representatives of each ethnic group looked solemn. Even the powerful race representative who had previously maintained an indifferent expression could not remain calm, and his eyes trembled violently. Energy Index 58,000 points, 59,000 points, 62,000 points. How did this guy manage to wield such power far beyond his own limits? The principle is very simple. Zhang Yi's defensive capabilities far exceed his offensive and overall combat strength. Gu Shan and the others were completely dumbfounded. It seemed that they were no longer facing a simple white knight-level opponent. Rather, above them lies the Black Knight. What is this thing? How can it be so powerful? Zhang Yi's voice was as cold as a judge's. Destroy. With a gentle push, Zhang Yi sent the enormous black sun crashing down upon the 4 alien powerhouses, seemingly slowly, but actually with incredible speed. It combined the tearing power of the sky-shattering cannon, the shearing force of the wind, the impact of the lightning, and the pressure of the armored domain, all into a single composite bomb, and hurled it at the 4 races. Retreat! Guchuan roared loudly for the first time, his voice even a little hoarse. The ripples in his single eye spread rapidly. He put a half-second time shell on each of the 4 people, stretching that half-second into a path that they could dodge. They were trying to use this method to give others a chance to escape. Gu Shan crossed his arms and activated his armor domain, attempting to use the Ironclad clan's formidable defensive power to withstand the first wave of the Black Sun's impact. Kong disintegrated himself into hundreds of small vortexes. He could not withstand this force and could only decompose it to the maximum extent. Kroba landed on all 4s, pushing his spatial ability to its limit, moving so fast he became a blur as he tried to escape the area shrouded by the Black Sun. However, the next moment, the Black Sun fell unstoppably, growing larger and larger in the eyes of the 4. The black light shone down, attacking everything in its vicinity indiscriminately. The 4 powerful alien warriors each felt as if a giant hand had pressed down on their chests, so heavy that their bodies were almost crushed. They were about to be burned to ashes by the powerful heat radiation. Morgan's eyes welled up with tears, though he couldn't tell if it was from the wind or something else. This is what he really wanted to show us. This is the powerhouse of their 6th generation, who single-handedly suppressed 4 powerful alien warriors, forcing them to flee in disarray. Boom! The heat wave swept across the vast land, and even at the negotiation platform 100 miles away, the terrifying heat wave could be felt. The powerful figures from the 4 races appeared in the aftershocks of the Black Sun. A layer of armor was sheared off from Gushin, revealing a deeper shadow on its hardened face. Its body was charred black, but there was no blood, because the wounds had been burned into charcoal. As an atmospheric creature, Kong's enormous body was covered with huge, gruesome wounds. Although he was trying his best to recover, the residual power at the edges of the wounds slowed down his recovery. Kroba was the fastest and had the lightest injuries. But blood was still flowing from his shoulder, and his wolf eyes were filled with extreme anger and terror. Guchuan wasn't much better off. The time bubble around him was shattered, and his attempt to extend the time to avoid damage only prevented him from being instantly killed, but injuries were inevitable. The strongest of 6 generations, you deserve this title. All 4 powerful alien warriors were injured. Their gazes toward Zhang Yi grew increasingly awe-inspiring, while a powerful sense of powerlessness welled up within them. Although the difference in their superpower indices wasn't that great, in actual combat, Zhang Yi was completely helpless against him. I appreciate your concession. Zhang Yi smiled, his palms subtly gathering another layer of dark currents from the netherworld, as if someone had pushed the night forward another inch. Should we continue fighting? One strike wasn't enough to kill all 4, but there was nothing that could be done about it. After all, facing 4 opponents, he dared not use the infinite sword domain, as the space might not be able to withstand the power of 5 people and would be destroyed. Otherwise, in a one-on-one situation, none of these guys would be able to get back up. However, Zhang Yi was not discouraged, as he had already achieved his goal. Your attack contains our power. Guchuan wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. In other words, this move is based on absorbing our attacks. That means you can't use it a second time for a short period of time, right? Zhang Yi raised an eyebrow. Why don't you try it and see? Let's give it a try. Although the 4 powerful figures suffered heavy injuries, They absolutely could not admit defeat in front of all races. Moreover, the four of them can continue fighting. In today's battle, they have become the ones who are on the hot seat and absolutely cannot lose. If you lose, you will be considered weak by other groups and be devoured. Come on. His turtle shell is shattered. Let's keep attacking. As long as we break through his defenses, we'll win. Kroba roared, his eyes gleaming with bloodlust. We've done enough to get this far. Zhang Yi raised his hand and called out, Ling, it's your turn. Another dimensional gate to his world has been opened. The light over the grassy sea suddenly shone for a moment, as if the midnight sun had descended. A slender figure emerged from the void before him. She was a woman dressed in silver armor. So perfect, she seemed like a work of art sculpted by the gods, her eyes like a still lake. The moment she stepped out, the air seemed to be ground finer, and the wind automatically avoided her sharp edge. The moment Ling appeared, there was no fluctuation of supernatural power. She just floated quietly in front of Zhang Yi. Her 5-meter height, perfect appearance, and indifferent expression made everyone who saw her almost explode. Who is she? Why does she seem so familiar to me? For the first time, a flicker of emotion appeared in the eyes of the three-headed clan representative. Her aura, she's from the Aihen clan. I remember now. I've seen her in the old archives. The elder of the Thousand Hands clan pressed all 6 hands to his chest, his voice trembling with excitement. She is the Sword Knight of the Aihen clan. Here we end today's chapter. I hope you liked it. Kindly do also subscribe to my gaming channel. I have to Fina a way to survive. Thanks.
Alright, that's it for today's chapter. Tell me in the comments which part you enjoyed the most. If you love manga style stories, don't forget to like the video and subscribe the Buzz Play Manga. See you in the next chapter with more surprises.